Hello. Is this thing on? I think it is. Okay. Hi, I'm Seth. And I have cancer.
1, 2, 3.
So come on into a place that is fun. I'll be your friend and you can be mine. The world is a stream of constant bullshit, but that doesn't mean there's not a whole lot of good shit. You start with believe and we can make something different. Let's build a world that is good.
This is a show for adults. Hi, friend. Welcome to the good world. My name is Seth. I do have cancer, or I had a tumor removed. If you're a personal friend of mine, you probably already know about this. But over the summer, I had surgery. I had a tumor removed. It was originally the size of a baseball, and then I took some medication, and it got down to about the size of a golf ball. And then they cut it out of me. And now I'm better. There's a funny thing in this world about being able to do a show and say, like, hi, I have cancer. And my first thought is, it's already been done. Like Tig Notaro, if you're not familiar with Tig Notaro, she did a whole great thing after she was diagnosed with cancer. And that means that saying, I have cancer is... It's been done. It's old. It's stealing someone else's bit. No comedian or host of any show can have cancer without feeling like they're stealing from Tig Notaro. Weird world. So the thing I want to talk about today, though, is when I did get diagnosed with cancer originally. So about a year and a half ago at this point, I was telling my friends, and I talked to my friend David, who is a really smart guy. He's a neurosurgeon, brain surgeon. And David, when I told him, the first thing he said to me was, so first off, I'm very sorry, which is a normal human thing to say. And then he said, second, this is not your fault. You didn't do something wrong. You didn't do something evil. You're not being punished. This isn't your fault. This is just a thing that happens sometimes. And my background is as a statistician. I was a data scientist for a long time. And so I thought, well, yeah, I understand how random mutations work. This was a random gene mutation. It's not, it's not even like I smoked cigarettes for a long time and got lung cancer. I just got a weird, funky little genetic tweak weirdo. And so I said, thank you, but I also felt like he was telling me something I knew. But then I sort of thought about it a little more, and I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. David is a doctor, and he's a neurosurgeon, which means he talks to a lot of people who have specifically brain cancer, which is much scarier than the cancer that I had. It's called a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. It's very rare, but it's very, very treatable. I didn't need chemo, and I'm fine now. But David deals with people who have brain tumors. And I realized that if he was telling me, hey, this isn't your fault, that means that's a thing he has to say a lot, right? That means that most of the people he talks to, or at least enough of them, their first thought is, I did something wrong. I'm being punished. This must mean I'm a bad person. And I had to think about that for a little bit. And I realized that there's this really dominant idea in our culture that everything is based around, if you're a good person, you'll get what you deserve. If you're a bad person, you get punished. And our justice system is supposed to work that way. It doesn't necessarily actually work that way, but that's sort of the story we're told about it. And a lot of our religious stories are like that too, right? If you're a good person, if you do the right things, you'll go to heaven. And if you do bad things and you're a bad person, you'll go to hell. You'll get punished. It's also a story we tell about capitalism and money. We have this narrative that people who are rich are getting rewarded for being really smart and doing really good things. Even though, like, creating addictive technologies or straight up drugs isn't necessarily a good thing, but that's a whole different road to go down. And we have this idea that people who are poor are actually being punished for some fault, right? We say they're lazy. We say they're just not trying hard enough. These are stories all around us in our culture, and they're on so many different dimensions and wavelengths. They come from so many different sources. And so we start to sort of internalize them. We start to think they're true without even realizing that that's what we've done. And so people, a lot of people, get cancer and then think it means they're a bad person. And first off, if you're out there and you have cancer, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just a thing that happens sometimes. David was right. It sucks. Even mine, which again was very, very treatable, like it's still not fun. Surgery's not fun. I had to take a medication for a year, and then I'm going back on it soon for 3 more years to keep the cancer from coming back. And it makes me tired. And it makes me nauseous. It's not fun. But it's not a reflection on me as a person. Just as it's not a reflection on anyone else as a person. And frankly, just as it's not a reflection on someone else as a person if they're rich or they're poor. And I think it plays into this other idea that we have about God, and the idea that God is rewarding us for good things and punishing us for bad things. Like God is just a cosmic deal maker who's, like me training my dogs, giving a treat when you do the right thing. And, it's hard to punish a dog in a way that isn't terrible and scary, which is, I think, also its own entire topic, that punishment is actually not a great way to change behavior, at least internally. You can sort of scare someone into not doing something, but it's gonna leak out in other places. But we have this idea of God as giving us treats for doing good things and giving us punishments for doing bad things. And I'm getting ordained in May as an interfaith reverend, so I've had to think a lot about theology and about what God even means. And I don't know what God is, if God is, but I do know that whatever God may be, I have seen zero evidence in my entire life to believe that God is transactional in that way. Right? And we have this idea of, you need to worship God really, really hard, and you need to do all these things, and you need to believe it, and God is going to punish you if you don't believe it enough, if you don't worship God. And I hear that, and that doesn't sound to me like the kind of person who creates like the Grand Canyon, or I have an artichoke plant in the backyard. It's beautiful. There are butterflies flying around it right now. The God who creates that is not, in my mind, and from what I have seen, a God who says you need to put an altar in your house and you need to bow before it every day. Like that second thing, that doesn't sound like God. That sounds like Joseph Stalin, right? We have seen lots of dictators throughout human history, many of them in the last century, who really, really care about everyone having a picture of the dictator in their home, everyone very publicly shouting about how much they love the dictator, the dear leader. Do we really think that that's what God is doing? Do we really think that God is that insecure that we need to worship in order to soothe God's ego, and then God will give us a little reward for worshiping enough? That just doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's a story we've heard a lot of times, and so it's easy to believe it, but that doesn't make it true. That sound means it's time to take a break, so we'll be right back.
Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe.
I just want to note that I have checked in and I have 0 viewers, which is expected because I have a very small channel and I have something like 58 subscribers, and I haven't made anything in at least a year, maybe 2 years at this point. But that's okay. This is getting recorded. I'll post the recording later. So, I do not believe that a transactional God is a thing that exists, right? I think that idea has been drilled into us the same way that dictators drill in the idea of you need to get behind the dear leader or you're going to Siberia or you're going to get thrown off a helicopter or any of a number of ways that that dictators do horrible, horrible things. And I believe that whatever God may be, look, all I know is we are in this incredible, beautiful, miraculous world with flowers and trees. Not to be a total hippie, but like, I live in California. It's really nice here. And it's like it was created. If it was created by anyone, that person is an artist, right? That person has created something beautiful. And all they want really is for us to appreciate their art. Well, look, this is a form of art, right? What I want when I put this out into the world is hopefully someone sees it and gets something out of it. Someone finds some meaning from what I'm trying to say. What I really don't want is for someone to take this video and threaten someone else's life if they don't believe what I say in this video hard enough. That is what an artist wants from whatever they are creating. And whatever force, entity, power created all of this, it's hard to look at it and say that it's anything other than a work of art when you really look closely at nature. And frankly, the universe, right? The stars in the sky, you can drill down to the level of atoms and quarks and cells and all these super tiny things that are too small for us to see. You can get huge at the level of planets and galaxies. And it's all incredible. It's all spectacular and wondrous and amazing. And I just don't think that whatever creative force is behind that cares that much about us not worshiping it hard enough. And I cannot imagine that whatever that force is would want us to beat each other over the head to just believe, right? And there's this idea like, oh, you just need to believe. It's very common in Christianity, though it's not just in Christianity. But the idea, and obviously there are lots of different kinds of Christianity, and I'm painting with a very broad brush here. But the idea that if you just believe in your heart that God is real, then you'll get rewarded for it. Like God is Tinkerbell, right? Like we just need to believe. What God needs is for us to believe hard enough. I don't think God needs that. I think if God is capable of making all of this, I just don't think any of us individually are that important and are worth God's effort to cajole and to pressure and to coerce. And that's not to say that people aren't important, right? That's not to say that you are trivial or that I am trivial. We matter in our relationships to each other, right? We connect with each other. We connect with our planet. Look, even if you're a hermit living in the woods, you're still very connected to the nature around you. That connection is part of all of this, and it's incredible. It's just that the idea that we're going to get punished for, like we'll get a Twinkie if we pray the right way, or a really big everlasting bowl of Twinkies, right? That has never really landed for me. And I especially think that the idea of hell originally comes from Zoroaster, who was an ancient Persian prophet. And during the Babylonian exile, the Jews, which is my people by heritage. The Jews were exposed to a lot of Zoroastrian beliefs, and so incorporated some of those ideas, and then they ended up showing up in Christianity, because Christianity kind of grew out of Judaism. They also ended up showing up in Islam, which also kind of grew out of the same culture as Christianity and Judaism. And this idea of heaven and hell, that's where it comes from originally, right? And the idea that we are going to be punished forever if we don't do exactly the right thing. So here's an analogy, a metaphor, if you will. Imagine you open a door and you come into this enormous room, like an airplane hangar sized room. And there are walkways, right? There's let's call it even a sea of lava, but there are walkways all around you in every direction. Lots of different walkways. And in front of every walkway, there's a person saying, hey, this is the right walkway. You should come on this walkway. This is the only walkway that's safe. But in actuality, only one of them is safe, and most of those people are wrong or lying. That's kind of what the idea of hell is, right? Is that we're gonna get punished if we don't do the right thing, but we have so many different people all around us trying to tell us, oh, my thing is the right thing. That person's wrong. You should come my way because I know my thing is the right thing. And the guy next to that person is saying the exact same thing. Neither of them even knows if they're right, but they are confident, they are certain, they believe it. And then, so you're left with, okay, well, this is the path that I was kind of born on. It's the walkway that my parents and all my family went on. So I'll walk this way. And maybe you get to the end and you just fall into the pit of lava anyway, because you chose the wrong one. Maybe you ask around, you try all the different paths, and you find the one that sounds the most convincing, and you walk down that one, and then you fall into the pit of lava anyway. And then at the end of it, God shows up and is like, ha ha ha, I fooled you. It was actually this one over here. It was path number 37. And everyone who didn't get path number 37, you're being punished for all eternity. That doesn't sound like God. That sounds like the villain from the movie Saw. Right? They're setting a trap that is pretty much impossible to get out of, and that will be miserable and torturous. And again, when I look at the world, I do not think that whatever force created all of this would be the same kind of force that does that. Now, maybe you're going to say, oh, well, that's because the devil is putting all of those other paths there. Okay, so why can't God come down and say, hey, no, but actually, I know, don't worry about those other paths. Just come to this one. This one over here is the right one. And even maybe you're going to say God has done that. God has done that through the Torah or through the Bible or through the Quran, right? We got lots of books. If you walk the wrong one because you were lied to by the devil, then what kind of God do we believe in who's going to punish you for that? Right? What kind of God do we think is going to say, oh, you were lied to, you were misled, and I'm going to take it out on you? Again, that just sounds like a monster. That doesn't sound like a divine, compassionate being who created all of us and is defined by love. True compassion means seeing that people were lied to and loving them anyway. Right? True love means I love you even if you walked on this path that I wish you didn't walk on. And I want to bring it back around because, again, this idea, even if you're not religious, you still have some version of this idea that you have heard your entire life. You still have some version of the idea that when something good happens, it's because you deserve it. And when something bad happens, it's also because you deserve it. And I think all of us need to sit for a while and really think about the fact that the universe is not, frankly, that organized, that we we actually don't have that much control over our destiny, right? That's what's scary about it, is this idea of, but I did all the right things and something bad can still happen. Yeah, that is scary. But we need to be able to sit with that. We need to be able to say, yeah, that's scary. And then we still need to live anyway. We still need to be able to love ourselves, love our neighbors. We need to find a path to love that isn't based on the idea that we're going to get a cookie at the end of it. Because we're not. We're just going to get more life until we don't. That's what it is out there. You might wake up someday and get cancer. You might wake up someday and there's a hurricane dropping on your house. Or you might wake up one day feeling great. And it's not because you did, you put up the right picture and pointed to the picture every time. A lot of it is random luck. Some of it is practice. You can feel better through practice. That's what meditation is. Meditation is practicing being present. And that's all we can really do. And again, that's scary. But when you get to a point that you can accept it, it's actually okay. And it's a lot less scary than living your life thinking that if you step the wrong way, you're going to fall into a pit of lava. So, that sound that went off a minute or two ago, that sound means we're done. Here we are. This has been the first live stream of the good world. It's going to keep happening. We're gonna start doing this. I think it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm saying that now to commit to it, because you gotta commit to things if you're gonna try to do them. Yeah, you gotta practice. So I'm gonna practice. All right. Oh, I have a song. I have a song that I end with. I almost forgot, because this is my first time doing this in this fashion. Well, thank you, friend, for your visit today. Now it's time we both go on our way. The world will still be insane tomorrow, but don't let that fill your heart with sorrow. You can thrive in a desert, just ask a saguaro. Please give to my Patreon. Capitalism is fun. Let's build a world that is good. This is a show for adults. Bye, friends.